welcome to Ephemera Files by Tommy. And today I want to show you just a little trick tag that I came up with. I don't know if anybody's done it before. They may have, and I just haven't seen it because I am still fairly new at this whole game. But since I did it and I was so happy with it, I definitely want to share with you. And what I'm starting with is a piece of cardstock. And it's just plain old cardstock. I didn't even go for a fancy color. I just grabbed one out of my stack. I did make sure it was light enough that whatever ink I chose would show up against it. And the first thing I'm going to do, I need to have a tag and a note card / journaling card. And so I need to determine what size I would like each of those to be. And so for the card portion, I know I want it to be 4 inches wide. And I would like for the finished project to be 6, but I don't want to cut this part off all of the way. I need to have about an inch, inch and a half left at the top. So I am going to cut this at 7.5 inches. That way I can have an inch and a half to fold over to complete the tag. And I'll set that right up there. And then the tag itself, I need it to be narrower than my card. And this was 4 inches. So I'm going to make the tag, I think 2.5. I'm thinking 2.5 would be a good width. I'm going to cut this, hold it up to the card, make sure that it pleases my eye. Because sometimes you just have to eyeball and not just measure. Yes, I do like the amount that is showing on each end. And I do not want my tag to be as long as the card. As a matter of fact, I want about what's here and here to be the same as what's down here. So when I set this on here, I can use this for my measuring. That is 4 inches. And that would leave 3/4 of an inch on either side. And so I want to raise, I want the end of my card to be about 3/4 inches away from the bottom. So I will bring it up to about there. All right, so I've got 3/4 inches all the way around except at the top, which I want to overlap. I don't think I'm going to cut any off of the top just yet until I get things put together and I know how much I'm going to have left at the top to cut. Now I knew I wanted this to be 6 inches, and so I'm going to measure that, still using my cutting ruler for cutting, whatever you want to call this, the guide for my cutting board. There we go. And I just flattened that down with my thumbnail. You can use a bone tool, bone folder, paintbrush, your ink brush, anything like that. And now my card measures 4 by 6. And so right now I am done with this, so I'm going to put it away, but not too far away. Now remember, I said that I wanted this to be 3/4 of an inch on each side. And so that is it right about there. The next thing that I will need to do is to get my glue out so that I can glue this portion right here that is touching the top of the tab, or the note card and the tab. I want to glue those two pieces together. So I'm going to get my glue out. You can use Fabri-Tac, you can use glue stick, you can use whatever glue you prefer. In this situation, you just want to make sure that your paper sticks to your paper. And now, placing this again, once again, I am going to make sure I'm about that 3/4 inch. And I'm going to press that into the glue, holding it down. Now I have used a wet glue, and so it's shifting just a little bit, but it's Fabri-Tac, so it's not going to shift for long. Now, at this point, I would normally get out my tab punch, except for, I think that I did that in an order such that I'm just going to have to cut my tag freehand, which isn't a big deal to me. I would like for my tag to stick up about this far. That's about an inch above. About an inch above, and actually that's not too bad. And then I'm going to make it a tag cutting from the top down to where the tag meets the note card. And then I'll take that little piece and I will do it again on the other side so that they both match. And there is our card thus far. And this is an extra piece as well. I do want to go ahead and punch a hole in it. And I do not want to use my butterfly punch. I grabbed the wrong one. Although that could be very cute. I think I want to go ahead and do it my normal sized 1/4 inch punch. That is the traditional standard, whatever word you want to use. And I'm going to have that part done. Now, so far, this is not anything to ooh or ah about, but I was really happy with what it looked like after this next step when I did it. You need to find a stencil that you like, and you're going to keep this closed, okay? So the fancy part so far has been the cutting and gluing, and even that wasn't all that fancy. And now we're getting ready to stencil. I am using Gathered Twigs Distress Oxide by Tim Holtz. And I am just going to, this is one of my favorite colors. Of all of the inks that I have, this is probably one of my most used, most frequently reached for. I don't know why. I just find this color with just that little hint of green mixed in to just be very pleasing in most circumstances where you don't need to have a specific color. Like, I'm not making a peacock here, so I know I don't need to use peacock feathers or chipped sapphire or what is it, lagoon, something like that. This is just going to be a really simple way of doing your note card. Now, this next step is you need to make sure that you have something that can be echoed down here. Even if it doesn't line up perfectly, you need something to somewhat line up. And on my last card, I was able to get to do it perfectly. And I probably should have used the same pieces. But alas, this is also one of my favorite stencils, and so I grabbed it as well to show this technique. And it'll work. It'll be beautiful. Almost done. All right, so there is the finished front of our card. Now, the whole reason that I did the fancy tag and the cutting the way that I did was because I was looking for some hidden journaling space that wasn't quite so obvious to the eye. And in creating this the way that I did, when you flip it up, you've got all this writing space right here. And when it's closed, it just looks absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to take some of this yarn and I'm going to feed it through the tab hole. And you may think I have too much yarn, but with this massive card, oh my goodness, With this massive card, a teeny weeny little string probably would not, just wouldn't hold up to the rest of the beauty. So I am going to feed this through. I'm going to get my crochet hook, or latch hook, excuse me. I can't remember if this latch hook goes through the 1/4 inch hole or not. Not well. So I need to get my other one, which is right here. And this is actually a crochet hook. It's not a latch hook. I prefer the latch hook, but when it doesn't work, a crochet hook usually does. And I bring that through. And then if I had the latch hook, I could have just gone through and grabbed these other strands and pulled them through without having to use my fingers. And then I'm going to cut the ends of the loops. And then I'm going to take pairs of the string. It's going to flip all around me, and tie them in bows. My other original card that I used to make this, I actually had more thicknesses of string and it was shorter. So it looked like a mop head, kind of. Messy haired mop head kid peeking out of a pocket. But this tag just made me happy, and so I wanted to share it with you. Again, somebody's probably done it better, probably done it simpler, but this is my own take on it, and nobody can do it like that. Everybody puts their own take on everything they make. There we go. And I just like that. Now, if you want to, you can go through, you could round off these corners here. I would not round off the corners of the tag unless you do that before you stencil. Otherwise, you're going to have a little blank spot in there. But there we go. That is my 2-layer tag, note card, journaling card, whatever you want to call it. I'll have to come up with a name before I post the video. But there you go. Quick, simple, beautiful. I like it. Why don't you try it and let me know how it works out? And I thank you for joining me today. Thank you for putting up with me not knowing what I'm talking about half the time, and my crazy ideas and the ideas that actually turn out well, because those things are all a part of who we are as people. And since we are all people, I want to remind you to be kind always. Bye.